What is up, everybody? Welcome to Best of the West. As always, I'm Jake Thomas, and always joining me is Stacy Blackwood. Stacy, man, how you doing tonight, brother?
Man, I can't complain one bit. Happy to be here. Talk a
Mhm.
little bit about SEC baseball opening weekend. Just wrapped up on Sunday, so
Yeah,
excited to be here and talk about a little bit of SEC baseball.
absolutely. Our counterparts last night talked about hoops, so we figured we'd give y'all an SEC baseball breakdown. This week, and man, it was some fun games. If you got to watch some of them, really, really, really proud of how the SEC, especially the SEC West teams. Although now I know some of them didn't really play like top level talent, but still, just getting their, I guess, getting back out there and getting their feet back under them. It was a good accomplishment for the guys.
Yeah, a lot of good baseball in the SEC, and of course, our team Alabama is trying to rise in the ranks in the SEC, but it's difficult with as deep as this league is.
Oh,
When you look at Vanderbilt, Florida, Georgia, the Mississippi schools, both of those schools are really good. LSU is really good, so it's hard to rise in the rankings in the SEC. But Brad Bohannon's doing a really good job. And speaking of Alabama, they got off to a great start over the weekend with the sweep of Xavier, and then today they win their game today against I believe it was Jacksonville State.
yep.
They start the season 4-0, and like we mentioned, they opened up the weekend with a series sweep of Xavier. So a really good start for Brad Bohannon and his guys, and it's nice to see those guys get off to a good start, and hopefully they can kind of carry that momentum into the rest of the non-conference play. And of course, when SEC play gets here, it's going to be tough because,
Yeah.
like I mentioned, this league is just absolutely loaded.
Absolutely. I mean, we always kid about the SEC being a football. It's loaded in football. Well, now it's loaded in basketball. It's loaded in baseball. It's definitely loaded in softball. And then you got to think in a few years we're bringing Texas and Oklahoma over. So I mean, it just gets deeper and deeper, and it's every sport, but I mean, especially in baseball, man. You talked about Brad Bohannon. This is, I think, his fourth year at Alabama, and on our show, Todd Talk, about last year when we previewed the baseball team, you know, we both felt like year three and year four would be his time to make that next step. They had some promising. They showed some promise last year. Just wasn't quite able to make it to the College World Series, but I think this team can make the next step this year and definitely make it to the College World Series. Oh,
Yeah,
what do you think about
yeah. I don't want to say it's a make or break year for Brad Bohannon
it?
because he's
Right.
done such a good job recruiting, and baseball is a whole different animal than basketball and football as far as being able to turn around a program. So I don't want to say it's a make or break season for him, but I feel like this is the year that's going to kind of prove whether or not he can be that guy for Alabama that kind of takes that next step and gets them back into the College World Series. So I hope he is. I have all the faith in him that he can get it
Yeah.
done. So we'll find out this year. And, I just got to thinking, I was mentioning all these in the SEC, and I forgot to mention Arkansas, which is ranked number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
So it's unbelievable how stacked the SEC is on the baseball diamond.
It's murder's row. I mean, it's ridiculous, and and it's only going to get better. I mean, the coaching is outstanding. The players that are these
Yeah.
programs are getting in is a whole lot, and a testament to Brad Bohannon. We don't mean to keep talking about Alabama, but I mean, we are Alabama fans, and this is our show, so that's what we're going to mainly do. But he has brought this program up from pretty much nothing. I
Yeah.
mean, it was left in a bad situation. Hardly any talent was on the team. You talk about his recruiting. He has recruited and has worked with these kids. He's finally getting himself a good foundation. The key for Alabama this year, I mean, the lineup is loaded. It's all about the pitching, and with Connor Preeley, it looked like he's not going to ever pitch again in a which is unfortunate, but I mean, I understand you potentially have a career in the MLB. You don't want to risk arm injury, but I mean that just looks a little sketchy. If I'm an MLB executive, but that's another talk for another time. But if these young pitchers can can handle the workload and improve in the season, that offense is going to score runs for him, I believe. So it's all going to come down to the pitching.
Yep. Yep. And that's that's really what baseball is. I mean, you got to have a good pitching staff, or you're not going to be a consistently winning team because the bats are not always going to be there. But consistent pitching is something hard to come by. So, and that's why
Yeah,
the elite. You look at who the elite teams are. They have a great ace. They have really good 2s and 3 guys. So, like you said, if the pitching can come around for Alabama, they should be a pretty solid team.
absolutely. Who's your favorite guy in that lineup for Alabama? I mean, there's so many you can choose from, but you know, to
I don't
me,
know. I like Owen because he seems
yeah,
to
no,
always hit the clutch. I mean, he hit the walk-off home run for Alabama on Friday,
yeah.
on that big comeback for Alabama. So he just seems like he's always the one making the clutch play for Alabama. So I guess Owen Diodati's the guy I would pick.
That's what I was going to pick too. I mean, he, like you said, he's clutch, and if you're down in the game and it gets to the ninth inning, if he's fourth or fifth in the lineup, you've got to get him into that batter's box because anything can happen with him up there. He's so clutch. So
Right.
he's probably one of my favorite players. You know that wears that uniform right now for
Yeah, no
sure.
doubt. No doubt.
You mentioned Arkansas, and Arkansas, man, they are really really good as well. Like you said, they're the number 2 team in the nation right now.
They
I
did lose.
expect
They did lose their opening game
they did,
to Illinois State, but they come back and won Saturday and Sunday.
yeah,
So they finished the first weekend 2-1. But they're a really good team. They're going to be
yeah,
right there at the end of the season, competing for a championship. So they're a really good program. And Auburn is kind of one of those teams. They're like Alabama. They're trying to battle their
yep,
way up the rankings in the SEC, but it's just so tough
hmm,
with those programs that are in the SEC. And they also finished 2-1 over the weekend. Against Oklahoma. They
hmm,
played Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and Kansas State, I believe. I think it was kind of a Big 12 thing they went up against. So
hmm.
they got 2 wins out of 3 games, so that's pretty solid for
That's
them. A
good.
good start for the Auburn Tigers there.
Hmm.
And it's just like I said, it's a brutal. They better win some games in non-conference because once you get to SEC play, if you can finish at 500 or above, that's a dang good season in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and we're talking about the West teams, but I mean the East is stacked as well, and sometimes you had to play some of those teams,
Yeah,
and it's crazy. We're going to stay mainly on the East, but I do want to point out that
West.
I meant the West, but I want to point out on the East side, it was kind of odd to see Vandy lose 2 games this
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah,
I saw that. I was like, man, but I expect them to be there at the end as well. Vandy is Vandy. I mean, they get like 50 scholarships to sign, to get baseball players, so that they'll be fine. But it was just kind of odd this weekend to see them lose too.
yeah, yeah. But like it's one of those things, and it's a long season. So the baseball season's super long, so they got plenty of time to kind of get things corrected. But they're going to be right there in the thick of it by the time the end of SEC play is rolling around.
Yeah, absolutely. LSU, I think they swept their series this
Hmm.
weekend.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, they poured it on Maine.
yeah,
I think they scored 13-17 and like 20 something runs against Maine over the weekend. They just poured it on them. They're a great offensive team. So
Mhm.
they're to me, if I had to pick an SEC team and they're not really a sleeper because they're like ranked 8th in the country, but
Right.
there's several SEC teams ranked ahead of them. But there's a sleeper team for me in the SEC to win it all. It would be LSU this season. So it'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see how they kind of end up this year. But yeah, they're off to a hot start. And of course, it is against Maine, but
Right.
scoring that many runs is impressive. And Mississippi State, they kind of
Hmm.
they're number 4 in the country, but they kind of got off to a rough start, going 1-2
Yeah.
over the weekend against Long Beach State. So. A couple of these teams had a rough patch over the opening weekend, but that's nothing that's something unheard of or anything. I mean, it's real early in the season. You're kind of figuring out what your lineup's going to be, what your rotation is going to look like. So there's a lot of room for these teams to improve. And before it's all said and done, Mississippi State's going to be a really good baseball team.
Absolutely. The other other Mississippi school, Ole Miss, they're setting 3-0 right now as well. What will you know a little bit about them, Stace?
Just they're just a loaded team, Jake. They have a lot. They have a great coaching staff, and
Yeah.
they just have good players. I mean, it's just like the other teams in the SEC. They're so deep at all the positions, and that's what makes it tough for teams like Alabama and Auburn who are trying to come up. Is
Hmm.
because you gotta beat somebody to rise in the rankings, and all these
Right.
teams like LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Arkansas, they're already there.
Right.
And so you got to get past all those teams to move up in the rankings, and it's just going to be tough. And I don't think it says more about how good the other teams are in the West more than it says about where Alabama and Auburn at, because I think Alabama's in good position. I think they're a good
Yeah, too.
baseball team, and like I said, if they can get to a 500 record in SEC play, I would be happy. But I actually think Alabama's going to finish with a slightly above 500 record in SEC play. I think they're going to surprise a few teams this year. So I look forward to seeing this, especially when conference play starts up. I'm really looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I saw somebody on Twitter had put out like a prediction for the baseball teams this year, and he had Alabama sitting at 17 wins. I'd live with that. 17-13, I think, was the overall record. I
Hmm.
mean, I am fine with that if that is the case. And I mean, they've already got 4 wins on the season because they won the game today, like you said. So I mean,
Well,
we're
and
supportive of.
you're going to find out a lot about Alabama this weekend because they
Mhm.
travel to number one Texas. So
Exactly.
so you're going to find out a lot about this Alabama baseball team pretty soon. To me, if you can get out of there without getting swept, you got to consider that a win for where Texas is at compared to where Alabama's at this moment. If Alabama can get one win there against Texas, you would have to consider that a win for Brad Bohannon and the baseball team. But you never know what happens when you step between those lines. So maybe Texas bats are cold and Alabama can find a good rotation and find their hitting, and you never know what happens.
Yeah, I mean it just takes one hit to get the team going, and maybe one crazy catch to rob a home run or something, something just to get the team motivated. So, if Alabama in the first game can get a hot start and, maybe they set the tone for that series, but it's a crazy game. But I'm with you. If they can win one this weekend, I would be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. I'm hoping that they can at least be competitive in the
Right.
matchups with them. I mean, you don't want to go over there and get blown out by Texas. I mean, they're
Hmm.
elite, Jake. They're the favorite to
Yeah.
win the championship. So, and that's for a reason. They're obviously
Oh, yeah.
probably one of the best baseball teams in the country. So, you don't want to go over there and just look like you're completely outclassed. I think this is a chance for Alabama to show that they are improving and
Hmm.
they are making strides to become a better baseball program.
Yeah, I don't expect us to look like Bishop Sycamore against IMG. I think we'll be a little bit more competitive. But I'm just excited about the baseball season. You know, we talked about nearly about 15 minutes in the baseball season, and we just had this one topic. We'll kind of go off the rails like we like to do. Um, unless you got something else to add on the baseball side, we've hit it
No,
pretty
no,
good.
most of the SEC teams are playing kind of cupcakes this weekend,
Right.
other than Alabama. So the baseball is pretty quiet right now in the non-conference slate. It'll start heating up a little bit more for other teams here later on. But like I said, the
Mhm.
biggest one to me is Alabama traveling to Texas. So we'll find out a lot about Brad Bohannon and his team this weekend.
Absolutely. Uh, I think it's still going on, as a matter of fact. But any interest in the XFL? They're doing their
No,
draft right
oh, you're
now.
talking about the USFL?
USFL, yeah,
Not really.
yeah.
Not really. I mean, to me, I don't know. Those guys are not playing in the NFL for a reason.
Yeah, yeah. But The Rock, he did sign a little, I guess it's like kind of like an agreement that these guys, it's almost like a training camp to make a way go to the NFL potentially. Something on that crazy line today that I was reading about. So, you know, could we potentially have like a B team in the NFL?
Maybe.
I mean, who knows?
Who
It,
knows
it,
what's going? Who knows? I mean, I'll probably watch some of the games because it's football, but as far as just a vested interest in it, nah, I'm
mhm,
not. I'm not really going to dive too deep into it, unless there's a team that's just really loaded with former Alabama players. But I mean,
right.
former Alabama players are in the NFL, so
Yeah,
I don't really have
exactly.
much of a reason to really get that interested in it.
Well, the now defunct AFL, I think it was called the
Yeah,
American
American
Football,
football
about League or Legion, whatever
alliance, whatever it was.
alliance. Yeah, they had Trent Richardson on the Birmingham team, and I watched it just because of Trent
Exactly.
Richardson, you
Right.
know. But the I saw Birmingham Stallions. Their first pick was like Alex McGall or something. He's a quarterback. I'm like, I ain't never
Magoo,
heard.
Alex
Yeah,
Magoo. I
I
remember.
don't remember him.
I actually remember him playing at FIU.
I
I
knew he
seen him
played at FIU.
play in a bowl game. I don't remember who he was against, but he looked really good in that bowl game.
Mhm,
I believe it was a bowl game. It might have been a
mhm.
regular season game, but I thought he was a guy who at least showed enough talent to get looks at from NFL teams. And I think he was actually picked like in the 7th round of the NFL draft a
Wow.
couple years back.
Mhm.
And the only reason I know that is because I'm obsessed with the NFL draft, so I remember a lot of a lot of these random dudes. But I think he's actually a pretty solid quarterback. And I'm going to
Mhm.
say this: I thought that the team, I don't even remember who it was, who picked Shea Patterson with the number 1 pick, made a
Yeah.
mistake, and the team that picked after them and got Jordan Teamu from Ole Miss.
Mhm.
That's who, to me, out of all the quarterbacks that were taken that I've seen so far, to me, Jordan Teamu is the most talented of all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that I agree. But I'll watch a little bit of it because, like you said, it is football. And
Right,
plus,
right.
we have a team that's pretty much just 30, 45 minutes away from us.
Mhm.
One weekend when they're playing, we maybe sneak down to watch a game potentially, as long as it's during the day. I don't want to go down there at night. You know, but I want to see if they can be successful and they can survive more than just one year. That's what I
Yeah, I
want to
mean,
know.
I wouldn't count on it because it's
Right.
so hard to run a league like that, and you have to have enough fan interest, and the fan interest has to be consistent. It can't just be, hot and cold like it was with the whatever it was a couple years ago. So,
Right.
we'll kind of see how that plays out. I just personally, I'm a college football guy and then an
Right.
NFL guy, and I don't know. I just don't. I'm not how I'm not sure how crazy I am about watching these guys, but we'll see. I mean, it may turn out to be good football.
Exactly. I mean, it's who knows. As you say, Stacy keeps looking behind him. We're trying to keep up with Alabama. Alabama has gone into Vandy, and what's Alabama's record last 10 games at Vandy? Like three and
Well, they
seven. I mean,
they've
it's
won. They have won 3 times at Memorial Gym since 1990.
God, I don't know what it is, but it seems like everybody struggles at Vandy's,
Yeah,
arena. It's insane, but well, I don't know what the current. I'm looking up at it right now. It's 15-11 Vandy right now. Is what.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know Vandy. I don't know what it is about that arena, but it's a tough place to play, and
Yes,
it's
it
a
is.
it's Stone Cold's Alabama for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, the Alabama's actually won 2 in a row there, so they played there better as of late. We'll see what happens in this game. It's still a long way to go in this game. First half is just now halfway over, so they're just Alabama trails by 5. Looks like Vanderbilt's going to the free throw line again. Every time I look up, they're at the free throw line, which is a normal thing
Oh yeah, I
when
mean,
Alabama apparently Alabama cannot defend without fouling. I would like to
well,
see what their total foul numbers are compared to other teams.
yeah, I mean, we don't want to get off on a tangent, but I mean, it was kind of odd that Kentucky only had 17 fouls.
They,
Seven, not 17, seven
yeah, the
team.
Yeah,
fouls.
they had the least amount of fouls called on them in like 10 years in a college basketball game. I mean, if you don't think something's wrong with that, then there's something wrong with you.
Exactly. I just that was. I mean, I'm not going to say that hurt. I mean, it hurt Alabama's
Well,
chances,
it
but
didn't
it
help them. I
did.
can
It
guarantee
didn't
you
help
that.
them. It didn't help them for sure. But and we only lost the game by 9. And I mean, we had a lot of momentum, but it seemed like you had mentioned when was it Ellis that got the flagrant
No, Darius Miles.
Darius Miles, the momentum just kind of just
Yeah.
shifted, and we never could regain it. So,
Well, Alabama's got to get better defensively, and I don't mean
yes,
just from a fouling standpoint. They just they can't defend the 3-point shot for whatever reason, and it just and of course I think Kentucky banked in like 3 threes against Alabama the other day. I mean, what are you
who
going to do about that?
hasn't this year? I mean,
It's crazy. I don't
it
know.
is.
I don't think they're as bad a defensive team as what we have in our minds. It just seems like teams just shoot really well against us, over 50% several times this year, which is pretty rare in college basketball. So it is what it is. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this team because they're capable of beating anybody, and we've
Yeah,
talked about that a bunch of times. But we'll see what happens here tonight. They need to get this win against Vanderbilt. They need to take care of business at home. They have 4 games left, I believe. Right? They
yeah.
have
Tonight, and then is it South Carolina,
South Carolina,
A&M,
Texas A&M, and
and
then
then
they
go on the road to LSU.
right.
Hmm.
They need to take care of the home games and try to split the road games. So if they can do that and finish the regular season 10-8 in conference play, I would be pretty happy with that.
Absolutely. And if we could win out, that'd be even better. But this team, it's just got a lot of growing up to do. It seems like. But Coach Oates come out, I think today, and he said he's going to put 5 guys out there who was committed to defense. He said you know, our offense isn't a problem; it's defense.
Yeah.
And I
Well, and
mean,
see, and people have been fussing about the 3-point shooting from Alabama. And sorry, we have went on a weird tangent talking about Alabama basketball, but
yeah,
people are frustrated with the 3-point shooting, and it's not as good as it was last year. But
right,
Alabama still scores a bunch of points.
yeah.
The defense has been the problem for Alabama. They just can't get enough stops, at least consistent stops. So, if they can figure out the defensive end consistently, they'll be a good basketball team.
I mean, we scored 81 last Saturday, and still lost by 9 to Kentucky.
Right. You score
Yeah,
81, you're
you
going to
should.
win more games than you lose when you score 81 in college
Yeah,
basketball.
and I think we put up 88 against Auburn and still lost that game by like 17, 20, something like that. I mean, the the down there at Auburn, but I mean the defense has got to get a little bit better, and I know it's different because I mean this team doesn't have a Herb Jones,
Right.
and
Right.
it
Well,
hurts.
and look, after last season, nobody, especially directly after the season ended, everybody thought that Alabama would be returning Josh Primo.
Right.
They thought they would have Namari Burnett. Those
Hmm.
are 2 6'4" to 6'5" wing defenders that are great shooters that
Yeah.
this team doesn't have, that I'm sure the coaching staff thought they would have until Primo got first round grades and was like, "Hey, I guess I'm going pro," you know.
Right. I don't blame
And
him.
then Namari Burnett hurts his knee and can't play this year. So
Yeah.
when you lose the 2 guys that were probably going to be your best perimeter defenders and probably your 2 best shooters, at least consistently shooters, then I mean, of course you're going to have your struggles. So
Yeah.
uh, because Nate Oates has not been there long enough to build the kind of roster that he really wants. Wait until next year when you see the
Oh,
class that he's bringing in, and
jeez.
we'll talk more about that moving
Yeah.
forward. But the fans that have kind of complained about this year's team, I would like to know what your expectations were, because if you thought this team was going to win the SEC with the roster turnover they had and the injuries they've had, then I mean that's not an Alabama basketball problem. That's a you problem. You didn't set expectations to the right level.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, to me, this team's still probably going to win at least one NCAA tournament game, maybe even 2.
Yep.
If your expectations was much more than that for this team, then uh, I don't know what to tell you.
Right. And I don't think the sky's falling. I don't think NATO's is going to leave unless he just gets a lucrative deal from somewhere. But I mean, Michigan State's pretty much, they've got a coach. You know, all the blue bloods pretty much have a coach right now. So unless one of them leaves to go to the NF or to the NBA, I don't think he's gonna go anywhere.
Well, the
And
problem
you
with
know,
that, Jake, is Alabama can pay what everybody else is paying with
I
the blue
well,
bloods. I
I
mean,
know exactly. That's what people don't understand is everybody's afraid that he's gonna leave, but I mean Alabama can
he's
match.
he's fixing to get a new arena.
Yeah.
He can get paid whatever he wants at Alabama.
Hmm.
I mean, he's bringing in one of the top classes in the country this next year. He's not going anywhere.
He can recruit Alabama. I mean, if people say you can't recruit basketball team, at Alabama, you can. I mean, he's showing it.
Yep.
I mean, and like you said, new arena, and we can match anybody's pay. So he's got it made down here. And to me, I think we talked about this before, and we're getting close to being done. I know we got off on Tie Talk podcast here the last 10 minutes, but to me, if I was Nate Oates, why would I want to go to a program that's won multiple championships when I can win the very first one at Alabama and pretty much cement my legacy, there? So, what's up, Corey? All
What's up,
right,
buddy?
good
Or
good to have
Israel,
you on. Or
whoever
Israel,
it is.
whichever one. Yeah, good to have you on, man. You're about 30 minutes too late. We kind of started early.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry for those that were waiting for us at 8:30. We decided to start a little early, so we're
because
actually
we had some storms rolling in our in
right.
our area, so we're trying to get it in before lightning struck or anything. But it's been kind of quiet, so I'm hoping I'm hoping the storms die down. But appreciate it, Corey.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, I like the background too. That's really good. But anyway, Stacey, you got any other final comments you want to say?
No, just excited about the remainder of the SEC basketball season. Excited
Hmm.
about SEC baseball firing up. Spring practices are going to be starting around the league pretty
Wow.
soon for football. So there's a
Hmm.
lot happening right now, and it's a really exciting time. Alabama
Softball.
softball's going on. Alabama football got a big commitment today from five-star
Oh yeah.
Jalil Hurley. So uh, good news rolling around everywhere. A lot of content is fixing to be provided. From the softball diamond, the baseball diamond, the hardwood. There's plenty to talk about here, and of course, here at Best of the West, we're going to be
Mhm.
talking about all that. And Jawan Howard,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think he should be fired. I think him being suspended for the remainder of this season, and that includes any postseason play, is
Hmm.
probably sufficient enough. Um, but it's one of those things like he better walk the line. I mean, I would let him understand that anything out of the way moving forward would not be taught. It would be the end of the road for him.
Yeah, Corey, I'm not sure if we'll talk about this tomorrow night, but if it's one of the topics, then I'll save my 2 cents on there about it. But anyway, yeah, we got a lot going on. As always, we're coming to you live from the Y'all Conference Network. Um, as you know, this is a nice little setup that we got. Have all these different podcasts, all these different live streams going on from all these different podcasts that do different sporting angles. I mean, you have Georgia like Corey and Israel does. We've got Vinny Hardy over at Believe in Kentucky. Of course, Steven, who designed all this and got us all together, is the Ole Miss guy. Jeb, who's with us on Wednesday night, is he's the Tennessee guy. So there's all this knowledge of different SEC schools that we're able to give y'all, and we all do this. It's called echoing. I think that's what we
Hmm.
call it. We do all this echoing. So if you tune into the Top Talk podcast, you'll see that we have paired up whenever Believe in Georgia Dog goes live. You can watch it on our channel. You'll be watching them talk about all Georgia stuff, but they're on our channel. Whenever we go live on Tide Talk, they pair us, and you can watch us live on their channel. I mean, it's a great little network that we've got going on. If you know anybody who is doing a podcast, we're still looking for a Mississippi State guy if Stephen lets them on, an Auburn guy if me and Stacy lets them on. No, I'm serious. We've got some openings we need to get filled for other teams that we hadn't got in yet. So if you know anybody that's doing one that wants to join, please let us know. We'd be glad to have them, show them around and everything. Corey really wants to get a Florida guy on, so that he loves Florida, don't you, Corey? but anyway, thank y'all for joining, and if you guys see y'all next, let's see next Tuesday. That's when we back. Oh,
Yep.
hang on a sec. I welcome all Bama fans to our channel. I enjoy Jake and Stacey on Tide Talk. Yeah, exactly. We're all great buddies on here, so we have a great time doing it. Love the Gators. Can't even capitalize it. Oh, Corey. But anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all back here next week. And roll Tide.
Hey, y'all take care. See y'all.